Alright, so as I'm making this video, or I've made this video by the time you watched it, E3 is still going on. Um, there are a few titles that I was really surprised to see that they were announced uh, from franchises that I'm very familiar with. Um, like Dark Souls 3, for instance. My first reaction was, wow, that's cool. I'm making another Dark Souls game. Um, But immediately after, my reaction to it was, already? Like, Bloodborne just came out like 3 months ago. Maybe not even 3 months ago. Uh, so they've already teased a trailer for Dark Souls 3, which is rumored to come out early 2016. So, uh, it used to be like one From Software game every 2 years or 2.5 years. Now it's like every From Software game uh, 1 year apart, uh, and that's making me nervous. I mean, it's kind of like turned into the Assassin's Creed Call of Duty routine thing where they have to like release one game every year. Um, I don't know what I think about that. That might make things boring, especially if they don't change the formula, like Dark Souls 2, which was like 2.5 years apart from Dark Souls 1 at release. Uh, but it felt a little familiar to Dark Souls 1. And then, like, literally a year after, like 12 months after Dark Souls 2 came out, then Bloodborne came out, which had similarities to Dark Souls 2, or at least what I've heard. Uh, and now this. Like as Bloodborne is getting new DLC in, they're already making another Soul type of game, you know? Um, I'm not liking that. I mean, I'm sure Dark Souls 3 will turn out amazing, but I think they're kind of overdoing it. They gotta calm down. They gotta, wait a little while. For all I know, this might not come out until 2017. In a way, I hope that's the case because I want them to take the time to differentiate these games from one another and to not make them feel like I'm playing a reskin of Dark Souls 1. Um, so yeah, that's Dark Souls 3. The trailer looked pretty cool. Dark Souls 3, my hopes aren't too high for it. I'm expecting it to be like Dark Souls 2 if it's been announced already, just like a reskin. I'm hoping it's not, but I'm expecting that's what's going to come out of it, unfortunately. Now, here's the one that really got me excited the most. Fallout 4! Fallout 4. Thank God. It's finally been announced. It takes place in Boston, in the surrounding countryside next to it. Um, um, and it looks fantastic. Uh, the creative character seems a lot better in this one now. You can like point at a character's face and move whatever it is you want or something like that. And that's probably only in the PC version when you're using a mouse, but I'm hoping that that's in the console versions too, is when you can like manually like press on their different facial parts and move them around and make them bigger, smaller, whatever. Um, so that's pretty cool, and I think you can play as both a male and female. If you've watched the gameplay video, which by the way, I will I'm pretty sure everything I've seen is under one channel. It's called. Hold on, let me look at this. It is called Games HQ Media. They have around like 600,000 subscribers. But yeah, I'll send you a link below, or maybe somewhere in this video, um, a link to their channel so you can check out all their videos. They have a bunch of cool stuff, new trailers, video games, everything. Um, so yeah, um, Anyway, Fallout 4, back to Fallout 4. Wow, I'm getting too excited. I can't even like talk straight. Um, the VAT system looks great. You know, the third person movements finally look good. You know how the third person movement in Fallout 3 in New Vegas where you walk sideways while moving forward and stuff. It it was terrible actually. And and it's funny because I think this is the same guy who talked about Fallout 3 at E3 2008. The one who went, you can do it in first person or third person. Let me show you in first person. Like he seemed nervous. He didn't want people to see how bad the third person animation were. But yeah, it looks a lot better now. It looks a lot more improved than 3 in New Vegas. I'm not saying Fallout 3 wasn't great. It was. It's one of the best games of the seventh generation, but Fallout 4 I think might actually be better. This one starts off, from what I can tell, you play as a married couple with a child. The child is generated. The child's face is actually generated by the two couples that you make. So that's really fucking cool. And no, there's not too much information that I haven't already said about it that hasn't been announced. But one thing that's making me a little bit nervous is the interactions and the conversations. You see, your character will talk now in Fallout 4, but it does this whole back-to-back conversation thing, and it seems like a little bit too much like Mass Effect and Dragon Age. Which is a BioWare thing, not a Bethesda thing. So I'm afraid it will just feel a little bit too much like Mass Effect. You know, I don't want it to feel familiar to a game from a completely different company. I don't want that. So I hope that there's some differences. And that's the only thing that's really making me a little nervous, and is the interactions. And plus, I want it to have a lot of humor in it. You know, a lot of sense of humor, like ads and billboards about really funny looking things and stuff like that. I don't want it to be like dark and serious, even though that's probably what's gonna turn out being, because it's Apocalypse and it probably should be dark. But I guess I'm just kind of craving the whole nostalgia Fallout thing. Um, so that's Fallout 4. I can't wait. I'm gonna pre-order it ASAP, but before I do that, I still have to pay off my pre-order for Deus Ex Mankind Divided. So, you know. Um, Another one is Doom. Oh my God, thank God. Doom 4. Oh, I call it Doom 4, but now it's just called Doom, I guess. Like a reboot or something, even though Doom 3 was pretty much a reboot. I don't know. Doom 4. We're gonna call it Doom 4. Um, Looks fantastic. It's very gory. Um, had a lot of really cool executions, like ripping off a guy's leg and shoving it up his mouth, I guess, shoving it in his mouth. Um, it has a lot of the signature weapons that makes Doom so memorable, like the chainsaw, the plasma rifle, sorry, and it's also going to bring back the double barrel shotgun that made Doom 2 so great. Um, so yeah, that too. I think the Resurrection of Evil had the double barrel shotgun too, but yeah. So it was cool. I'm so relieved that it's like no longer in development hell, because that game was like all over the place for years and years. Almost a decade. It was like not really talked about until now, and I'm glad. I'm glad that they're bringing back Doom finally. Um, so yeah, I was a little disappointed by the gameplay video that they didn't show a BFG 5000, or is it BFG 9000? I think it was the BFG 9000. Anyway, Doom 4, probably gonna pre-order it, and yeah. Um, and lastly, for reveals that I am familiar with, Gears of War 4. Um, The graphics look unbelievable. They're incredible. They're really, my God, the lighting and textures are great in that. That is by far the greatest Xbox One game I have ever seen. Like, as far as Xbox One goes, or any Xbox console, that is the greatest graphics I have seen ever on Xbox. Not maybe not ever, but definitely one of the greatest graphics I've ever seen ever. Ever seen ever seen ever. Looking at the gameplay, it looks exactly the same. The movement, the aiming, the animations, the sound effects, they all look and sound recycled. Um, I find that really inexcusable and unacceptable. Forgive my lisp. Unacceptable for for a game that's an Xbox One exclusive. It should be a lot different from the previous games on the Xbox 360, and the fact that they haven't changed it so far kind of just makes them look lazy, and it doesn't look like it has much effort in terms of in terms of anything new. It's just it looks great, but that's pretty much all it does for me. Is that the graphics look incredible, and that's probably going to be the game's top selling point because the graphics are incredible, and it looks like the characters. It looks like it has different characters. Like this looks like it's going to be a new entry, like a new trilogy, the start of a new like Gears of War trilogy. Probably kind of like how Mass Effect is going to turn out to be, um, which I haven't heard anything about. I don't think BioWare has addressed anything on Mass Effect 4, but I could be wrong. After all, E3 isn't done yet. I might do an update video tomorrow, but who knows. Um, keep on getting sidetracked because there's so many things I'm talking about at the same time. Uh, so yeah, Gears of War 4 doesn't really hold that much interest to me. For me, the series is over. I mean, 3 ended all the threats to the series, and I don't know which direction 4 is gonna go. So I'm kind of blind on that. I'm pretty sure most people are. Um, Gears of War 4. And there's there's updates and coverage on a lot of other really highly anticipated games of this year, next year, like Rise of the Tomb Raider, which looks great, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, which looks fantastic, Forza Motorsport 6, Halo 5, Star Wars Battlefront, Black Ops 3, um, and of course Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which I haven't seen too much of at E3. Um, I don't know if they're talking about it or not, but they should because it should be coming out next spring. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be a fantastic year. Uh, I know the first half of this year wasn't too great. I mean, we had a couple really good titles like Bloodborne and The Witcher 3, but apart from that, it's been kind of a boring year. But I know that September onward this year is going to be really hot in terms of video games and sales and stuff like that. And they have more coverage on like the virtual reality stuff. I'm not too interested in there, but that probably is going to be the future of video gaming, come 5 or 10 years. Uh, so yeah, um, that's my responses to what I got out of E3 so far. Um, what are your most anticipated games and what are you most excited for? I'm going to ask you that. Comment below. I'm going to put the link of the channel in the description of where I got all my coverage and stuff like that. I'm not actually watching E3 live. I'm just watching clips of individual games and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you for watching.